What's up, everyone? Welcome to Target Focus Life. Today, in this how-to shotgun video, we're talking about mount. And if you're already thinking, well, that's simple. You mean bringing the gun up to your face and shoulder like that? Yes, that mount. But if that's your definition, there's a whole lot more to consider than just that. Today, we're diving in deep. Pull. You ready? Let's go. Hey guys, check these out. These are Firebirds. Super cool. In fact, I thought I would dedicate a song to them. I've been working on this song. It's not fully done yet, but check it out. It goes a little something like this. 'Cause baby, you're a firebird. Come on, show 'em what you're worth. Make 'em go. That's really all I got so far. Still working on some of the lyrics, but I kind of feel like I'm onto something. I feel like this could be a hit. You can put them on clays, you can put them on a static target, a lot of different ways to utilize them. There's basically the Bio 50s and the Bio 65s, a little bit difference in size. I got a link and discount code. And the coolest thing is I can fly to shows with these in my bag. Yeah, they're not an exploding target. So YouTube, don't demonetize me. They're not an exploding target. Let's get back to the video. So why do I say mount is so important and more complicated than just bringing the gun to your face and your shoulder? Well, because it is. There's a lot of considerations to think about outside of just bringing the gun to your shoulder and your face, and we'll talk about that and kind of that process. But we have to think about, where do we start with our gun? If a dog's on point, where should we start with our gun? If we're calling pull and a clay's coming out, where should we start with our gun? And what's the process of mounting? We could say that clay machine off to my right, way out there, well, this is a mount right there. But that's not necessarily a good approach to the target. So we're not only talking about mounting, but merging and approaching the target. I also got to point out that our footwork is really important when it comes to mount. We made a whole video about your feet and why your feet are making you miss. That's what this painting on the ground is all about. So if you haven't watched that, please do check out that video. But back to mount. When you mount a gun, it's kind of coming up, out, and back up, simultaneously hitting the face, right under that cheekbone and your shoulder pocket at the same time. Now, for that to work, you need a gun that fits you well. Gun fit's important because we want to be able to come up, hit our cheekbone, right under our cheekbone, right here, and our shoulder pocket, right? We don't want to have a gun that's up here or doesn't fit us. You don't want to come straight up like this. You're going to catch, end up way off. Get that arm out a little bit, create a little bit of that pocket, boom. The cool thing about mounting is you can practice that in your living room, in your home, in the off season, when you're not out chasing birds or shooting clays. Very easy to get those repetitions, because eventually we want to get to a place where we can find a spot, maybe on the wall or wherever we're at, and with our eyes closed, be able to go, boom, and just hit that spot. Now, a lot of you probably knew that. It's pretty basic, pretty elementary, but I do see a lot of people messing up the mount, even in those couple steps. A lot of people will gun to shoulder, and then try to get face down. If your gun fits you perfectly, that might work. If it doesn't fit you perfectly, I would rather you mount to the face under your cheekbone and then bring it back. But in an ideal world where your gun fits you well, you can do it simultaneously. Boom. As the gun's coming in, I'm bringing my face down into it just a little bit and rolling my head just a little bit. If my face is straight vertical, my eye probably won't be over the rib. So just a little bit of lean, a little bit of roll, and then I'm looking right down it. I'll try it into the camera here. Gun is unloaded. So watch my head as I come up, right? It just hits right there and I just roll into it as I'm, boom, there it is. So now that mount technique's important, but what is just as important, and I see a lot of people mess this up, I shouldn't say mess it up, but they make shooting way harder on themselves than it needs to be, is where they're holding the gun. For example, if we're gonna shoot off that machine to our right, we know we're probably gonna break the clay out here. So where we hold the gun's important. Why? A couple reasons. We wanna minimize gun movement, and we also want to be able to merge with the bird. If you're holding the gun up here, down here, if you're calling pull or waiting for the bird to flush and your gun's down here, now you have to bring it up, bring it out, mount it, and then start moving the direction of the bird. Whether that's clays or live birds, that's a lot of wasted movement. It makes it much more difficult than it needs to be. Now, a live bird, you don't necessarily know where it's gonna go, but you have an idea of where it's coming from, and how you set up, you can still be purposeful about that. I also don't wanna start up here because then I'm gonna have to bring my gun down. I'm gonna cross the visual flight path of the bird. I gotta bring it down and then I have to move. 2 movements. Well, I want you guys to think about driving, merging onto the interstate. I'm sure almost everyone watching this video has merged onto the interstate. That's kind of how I'm trying to approach this clay. So I know my target brake area out here. I know my source back there. We'll call the clay the car on the interstate. My gun is what is going to be merging. And so I'm going to put my gun just below the flight path of that bird, between the target brake area and the car that's on the interstate. That way, when I call pull, my eyes are looking right in front of that machine. I'm going to pick up that car right away. I got to see its speed, how fast it's going, where it's going. When I call pull, I'm going to see it. And as I mount, I'm merging, right? Think of that gun just merging into the path of that clay or that car. Pull, boom. That simple. Look how little the gun movement was. Pull, boom. Let's try it once here, just see what it looks like. I want you watching my gun movement. Pull. And just like that, I didn't have a lot of gun movement. Now let me show it to you in a way that makes it a heck of a lot harder. I'm gonna start with my gun up like this. You know, a lot of people don't get their eyes towards the source. I'm gonna keep my eyes out here, and I'm gonna try to ambush this from up high. Pull. I had to come down and then move, cross my sight path. Not ideal. You can hit birds like that, not ideal. Now, if we come from low, some people, they call pull like this, or they start on their shoulder down here. Pull. Now, I was actually trying to hit that one, believe it or not. A lot of gun movement. It's not a very natural way to pick up a clay or a bird and move with it. If you're not fully understanding this merge technique, I got artistic and drew a little picture. Come on over here. Okay, here's our merge illustration. The orange car is the clay. How appropriate. The black car is our gun hold point. We have the interstate here. We have the merge ramp here. And this is how we can approach a clay, right? And I'll show you why we don't want to do certain things. Part of our objective in our mount is to minimize gun movement. The other one is to merge as we mount and get the appropriate lead. We're not talking heavy about lead today. That's going to be a future video. But just picture this. You have a car traveling at 70 miles an hour coming down the interstate. You are already here. This is our gun hold point, right? We're not holding back here where the clay's coming out, because then look at all the gun movement we have to get there and break it. This is our target brake area, our POW. We are gonna hold our gun somewhere between our brake area and where the clay is coming from. So then what happens is this car's traveling 70, we pick it up visually, right? Our gun is here, but our eyes are somewhere closer to the machine, maybe just in front of the machine. That's our eyes. I'll draw you a picture so you know that's an eye with nice eyelashes. So visually, we call pull, we see this come out, and as we see it come out and start to move, we start to move the gun into our mount as we're merging. Oh my gosh, they're gonna connect, okay? Very, very simple concept, but there's a lot of ways to make it more difficult for yourself. It's not necessarily right or wrong, it's what's the most efficient and effective ways to get on a bird or a clay. So some people will start way out here with their gun pointed down at the ground. Their eyes aren't even looking at the clay. And then all of a sudden the clay comes out. They don't pick the clay up visually till here. And then they zoom up and mount and try to ambush it. That's a really hard move to make consistently, because it's really easy to whoop, shoot behind it or come too far in front of it, because it's hard to match the speed. When we're merging, it's easy to see the speed and just merge right in front of that clay or on the clay, depending on our lead. Other times, you know, people will start with their gun above. You know, they got that gun up in the air, they're holding it like this, and then they might even try to merge, but they have to come down into the clay. Well, that obstructs your visual with the gun, because the gun's actually in the line of sight of that clay. One last time, as simple as we can make it, here's the effect if you do everything right. Your gun hold here, your eyes there, the clay takes off, You see it, you mount in, you come in, you're right there, and all of a sudden, boom, you've hit it. Massive damage. Uh-oh, we got a leak going on. Woo! Something tragic happened. And if you do it all right, devastation. That clay is toast. So to summarize, gun mount. We want to minimize movement as much as possible with our muzzle. I got to shoot with Jerry Michalik about a year or so ago, and no matter what discipline, whether it's 3-gun or clay shooting or wing shooting, as Jerry would say,
all wasted motion is wasted motion.
I don't think you can say it any more clear than that. And Jerry knows a thing or two about performing at a top level. So yes, the mount is important. Our process of muscle memory, repetition coming up. What I'm gonna advise you do, if you need to practice your mount, is in the house with an empty gun where the wall meets the ceiling, right? You got that line? You can use that line and come to the corner. Your corner is the target break area. So the practice thing you can do is get ready with your gun below the plane of travel, not gun down here, not gun way up here, something kind of like this, and then just go boom, boom. You notice I am merging and mounting at the same time. It's not mount, merge. It's mount and merge at the same time. I think that's one of the biggest things. The process is supposed to be fluid. As you're moving towards the clay, you're mounting at the same time. When your gun hits your face and your shoulder, you should be just about there and pulling the trigger. That is how simple mounting is, but a lot more to think about than just getting the gun to your face and shoulder. How we approach the birds makes all the difference. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts down in the comments. Did I miss anything? Any other important facts that you guys would like to add? Anything you've struggled with? Did you learn anything new? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks so much for watching this How to Shotgun series. We got a whole lot more coming. If you have any thoughts or ideas that you would like to see us cover, put it down in the comments. And as always, guys, remember, whether you're in the field or in life, you're only gonna hit those shots you're laser focused on and properly mounted on. So live target focused. See ya.